Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really going to explore something fascinating, 20th century visual culture, and we're doing it through the Ikonographia Archive.
Yeah, it's this amazing online collection. Think advertisements, illustration, photography, design, all curated.
Exactly. It's not just pictures, right?
Yeah.
It's presented as a way to, understand bigger cultural stories through these images.
That's what makes it so valuable. And the structure helps. They have stories, which give you context with the images,
Right.
then products where you can actually get digital files or prints if you want.
Okay.
And finally, archive pages, which are these really deep dives into specific topics. It lets you engage on different levels.
Absolutely. So our mission today, really, is to give you a taste of just how diverse and rich this archive is, show you the kinds of insights you can find.
Sounds good. Where should we start?
How about we dive into something visually stunning? New York City's Art Deco interiors. We're talking the 1920s, the 30s.
Oh, perfect. A great entry point for design history. That whole interwar period in New York was just bursting with creativity, drawing ideas from, well, everywhere.
And what I like is that iconography, it doesn't just show you the outside of the buildings.
No, exactly. It really zooms in on the interior architectural details, stuff you'd see inside.
Yeah, like the lobby's obviously spectacular, but also like the elevator doors, the mailboxes even.
Right, and the light fixtures, chandeliers, ceiling designs, the mosaics. It shows how art was really integrated into everyday life back then.
It really does. It's more than just ornamentation. You consider how that meticulous detail, even on functional things, kind of reflected this optimism, this belief in progress maybe.
I think so. It was a departure from purely functional approaches and the scale they're aiming for. Over
Yeah.
50 buildings. That's huge.
Wow. So you get a really comprehensive picture. It's like virtually stepping inside and seeing that craftsmanship up close.
Definitely. It lets you appreciate the ambition in those small details.
Okay, so from architecture, let's shift to something uh, equally iconic but mobile. Bugatti.
Bugatti. Yes, the legendary French car maker. Famous for racing, of course, but also those incredibly elegant sports sedans.
And the archive seems to capture that whole legacy. They mentioned the Type 57 Atlantic, John Bugatti's design.
Oh, yeah, a truly groundbreaking car, aesthetically. But what's great is the archive goes beyond just glamour shots of the finished cars.
That's what makes it interesting. You get Roberto Bigano's photos, which are art in themselves.
His work is incredible, the way he captures the lines.
But then you also get the backstory, the actual factory designs, old catalogs, posters.
Historical photos, too, and even stuff from the centenary meeting in 2009. It connects the history to, well, more recent times.
It gives you this really layered view. Art, history, documentation, all in one place.
Exactly. And then the archive takes an interesting step into a more modern chapter. Bugatti Automobili in the 1990s.
Right, and this part is also documented by Roberto Pagano. Wasn't he their exclusive photographer then?
He was. So it's like having an inside track on the brand's revival,
You get to see the construction of the Fabrica Blue, the Blue Factory.
which was a huge moment, but also the development of the EB110. They show the whole process.
From the maquette stage, that's like an early 3D model, right? Made of wood or resin.
Yeah, EBO wood, they call it here. You see it evolve through prototypes to the final super sport version, and they cover the EB112 sedan concept too.
And they even have interviews with Romano Artioli, the guy who revived the brand, and Benedini, the architect.
Yes, those personal accounts add so much depth. You understand the vision, the challenges.
It's a proper behind-the-scenes look at bringing an icon back. Okay, let's change direction completely. How about this High Society 1920 collection? Features an artist called Fish.
Ah, yes, Fish and Harriet Fish. This section is described as a time capsule, and it really feels like one.
It's this pictorial guide, right? Looking at the American upper class in the 1910s and 20s, but with like a humorous edge.
Exactly. Her style is so distinctive, really witty, captures the whole vibe of the era. Iconographia shows her work from the book, but also from magazines and ads she did.
So you see her range. It's amazing how an artist can just nail the essence of a time and place with visual humor.
It really is. And you wonder, reading between the lines, how much is observation versus subtle critique, maybe?
That's a good point. Humor could definitely carry a message.
Okay.
Staying sort of in that Art Deco world, let's talk about Erté.
Erté, yes. A huge figure. Iconographia positions him not just in Art Deco, but almost as a forerunner of it.
His influence was massive, wasn't it? Especially in fashion. Driven by those Harper's Bazaar covers.
Hundreds of them. Something like 200 covers over 2 decades. He was a major trendsetter.
Wow. And the archive has some of the rarer covers
Mm.
and those double-page spreads.
Yes, and presented really well. You don't often see them online with this clarity. His designs influence so much more than just clothes, to graphics, stage design.
It's a chance to really appreciate his visual style and why he's still remembered.
Definitely. His legacy is undeniable.
Okay, from high fashion to something maybe more everyday, but just as iconic, Coca-Cola. The archive traces its history through ads.
This is fascinating. It's a perfect case study in branding and advertising. You see Coke go from, what, a medicinal drink?
Yeah, in the late 1800s. And then that huge sales jump around 1900.
Advertising was key. These ads didn't just sell soda, they sold, a lifestyle, leisure, family, this idea of being American. They shaped culture.
And Ikonographia is restoring hundreds of these ads digitally. That's crucial for preserving the original look and feel.
Absolutely. You get to watch the brand's image evolve decade by decade, reflecting different art styles, different social values. It really shows the power of visual storytelling.
It really does. Okay, now for something maybe a bit more niche but influential, Portfolio and Flair magazines from 1950.
Ah, yes. Short-lived but legendary. Both launched in '50, both folded within about a year. The costs were apparently astronomical.
But their impact on design and publishing was huge, right? It's still
Yeah.
felt today.
Totally. You had Alexei Brodovich, the art director from Harper's Bazaar, doing Portfolio, and Fleur Cowles doing Flair. Visionaries.
And it seems like budget was just not an issue for them.
Apparently not. They experimented like crazy with design, paper, die cuts in Flair's case, really pushed the boundaries of what a magazine could be.
And Ikonographia shows the content in these seamless double-page spreads, which is hard to find online, especially at that quality.
Yeah, it's a rare chance to see why these magazines were so groundbreaking. You experience them almost as intended.
Okay, let's jump way back in time now. The Salerno ivories.
These are intriguing. 11th or 12th century, from Amalfi in Italy. Ivory carvings depicting Bible scenes.
Old and New Testament. But there's a mystery about them, where they actually came from.
Their exact provenance is still debated, yes, which adds to the fascination. Ikonographia has almost the whole set.
Amazing craftsmanship telling these complex stories in ivory. It makes you wonder about the context, who commissioned them, why ivory.
Exactly. Lots of unanswered questions. They're really compelling artifacts.
From sacred art to something else entirely. Ambrose Castle, 1577, Archduke Ferdinand II's collection.
Right. His cabinet of curiosities. He collected all sorts of things. Art, armor.
Armor owned by famous people, yeah.
Yeah.
But Ikonographia highlights something specific.
Yeah.
These anthropomorphic masks.
Yes. Described as an unbelievable series. Masks blending human and animal features? Sounds pretty wild.
It does. Really sparks your curiosity about the mindset back then, the artistic freedom. They sound bizarre but fascinating.
Definitely not your standard portraiture. They offer a glimpse into a different worldview.
Okay, fast forwarding again. A long-term project this time, Roberto Vigano's Plastic Girls. Looking at mannequins over time.
Yeah, it's such a clever concept, tracking fashion and maybe cultural ideals by looking at shop mannequins and window displays.
Over 40 years, from 1978 up to today. That covers a lot of change.
And they plan hundreds of images. You start noticing the subtle shifts, posture, body shape representation, the whole vibe of the display.
It makes you think, doesn't it? How these supposedly passive figures actually reflect and maybe even influence our ideas about style and beauty.
It's a really unique lens on social trends.
Now, we definitely have to talk about vintage ads more broadly. Seems like a real cornerstone of Ikonographia.
Oh, absolutely. Their collection is vast. They gave some examples, like J.C. Leyendeckers Kids for Kellogg's back in the 1910s.
Charming stuff. Then elegant Art Deco ads in the 20s. British Dunlop ads from the 30s.
There's amazing streamlined train ads from the 40s in America.
Cadillac's WWII ads, quite a shift in tone there. And then Burberry's distinctive Hanes ads in the 50s.
And of course, the iconic Volkswagen ads from the 60s changed everything.
It's like a visual tour through the decades, isn't it? You see art styles change, marketing change.
And societal priorities, too, reflected in what they chose to highlight. Each ad is like a little snapshot of its time.
Okay, and finally, this sounds really significant. The American Women series.
Yes, they call it their latest ambitious and challenging project, analyzing how women have been depicted in illustration and ads over time.
And they're breaking it down chronologically, starting with the Gibson Girls.
Right, Charles Dana Gibson's creation. Hugely influential for like 30 years from the late 19th century. Then Harrison Fisher's American Girls, also super popular.
And it goes on from there. Women of Marlborough. That must be an interesting one.
Definitely a different image than modern women for Pepsi, sophisticated women for cosmetics like Charles of the Ritz.
It also mentions working women in Dewberry ads, gossiping socialites by Barbara Sherman in the 20s. Even elastic curls for dance and swimwear.
It's a really wide-ranging look. It tracks how perceptions and roles shifted or how advertisers wanted them to shift, maybe.
It seems like a powerful way to see changing gender roles reflected and maybe reinforced by visual culture. And it looks like they're not stopping there. There are incoming projects.
Yeah, they mentioned planning more collections on social and fashion trends. Things like the evolution of hats.
Hats, okay.
Yeah, and how people in the past imagined the future. Also, the development of television, starting with ads from the 30s.
Wow, early TV ads. That sounds fascinating. It really feels like iconographia is this living, growing resource.
It absolutely is invaluable for anyone interested in digging into history and culture through visuals.
We've really only scratched the surface today, haven't we?
Just a taste. There's so much more there.
Yeah.
Art Deco, cars, ads, fashion, historical artifacts. Something for everyone, really.
So we definitely encourage you listening to go explore the Ikonographia archive for yourself. Check out the stories, browse the archive pages, see what grabs you.
Yeah, lose yourself in it for a bit.
And maybe leave with this thought. How does all this visual culture, especially advertising, both reflect and shape how we see the world, how we see ourselves across time? And spinning that forward, what will future historians make of the images we're surrounded by today?
That's a really interesting question to ponder.